Good afternoon. I'm Sergeant Calhoun. Today we'll be talking about challenged persons entering your area. This is unclassified information. So task, learn how to challenge persons entering your given area, whether the approaching entity is one or more persons. This will be in accordance with STP 21-1-SMTC. So the conditions. You are a member of a squad or team providing security for your unit in a field environment. You have your assigned weapon, individual protective equipment, and the current challenge and password. An unknown person or persons is approaching your area. Standards. Detect and challenge all approaching personnel, prevent compromise of a password, allow personnel positively identified as friendly to pass, and disarm, detain, and report personnel not positively identified. So now I'm going to read off the performance steps. 1. Detect all personnel entering your area. 2. Challenge an individual that enters your area. This is going to include cover the individual with your weapon without disclosing your position. Command the individual to halt before they are close enough to pose a threat. Ask, who's there? Just loud enough for the individual to hear. Order the individual to advance to be recognized. Continue to keep the individual covered without exposing yourself. Order the individual to halt when they are within 2 to 3 meters of your position. Issue the challenge in a low voice. Today it'll be Boston, and the password will be beans. Then you're going to determine if the individual is friendly based on their return of the password. If they return it correctly, you're going to allow that individual to pass, and you're convinced that that individual is friendly. If they do not identify themselves as friendly, then you're going to detain that individual. You're going to direct the individual to disarm. You're going to notify your chain of command. You're going to await instruction from your command. So that's all with an individual. If you're going to be challenging a group, it's very, very similar. You want to do one person, so you're going to isolate the leader of that group. So you're going to cover the group with your weapon without disclosing your position. You're going to order the group to halt before they are close enough to pose a threat to you. You're going to command, who's there? Just loud enough to be heard by the group. And then you're going to wait for a reply from the group. And this reply should clearly identify the group. For example, friendly patrol. Then you're going to order the leader of the group to advance to be recognized. You're going to continue to keep the group leader covered without exposing yourself. You're going to order the group leader to halt when the individual is within 2 to 3 meters of your position. Then you're going to issue the challenge to only the group leader. From the response that you get, if it's a positive and they respond with the correct password, then you're going to direct the group leader to remain with you to assist in identifying group members if you determine he or she is friendly. And the individuals in the group are going to pass over your flank as your group leader sits there and identifies them with you positively. If any of those individuals are not recognized by the group leader, you're going to disarm them and wait for your chain of command to provide additional information and guidance. If the group leader does not identify himself or herself correctly as a friendly, then you will direct the individual to disarm. You will direct him or her to inform their group to wait. You will notify your chain of command. You will await instruction from your chain of command. So today, in the field environment, some of the hazards that we have fire ants, we have poison ivy and oak. It's not too hot out, but you can still become a heat injury. And we have some uneven terrain. So stay away from any of the foliage. Just don't take a risk with any of it. Stay away from any ant hills. If you feel like you're going to become a heat casualty because of what you're wearing, you've already been authorized to unblast your boots and roll up your sleeves. But if you need to, take a knee and drink water at any time. Make sure also you have sure footing with wherever you're walking. It's light enough out and we're not running around, so the overall assessment of this, the risk assessment, is low. So, it is the duty and responsibility of all soldiers and DA civilians to protect and preserve the environment. Foreign disclosure for this, Foreign Disclosure 1, this training product has been reviewed by the training developers in coordination with the G2, Fort Benning, Georgia, Foreign Disclosure Officer. This training product can be used to instruct international military students from all approved countries without restriction. So now I'm going to demonstrate. Sergeant Adams, as my student, can you come over here? Halt. Who's there?
Sergeant Adams.
Advance to be recognized. Halt. Boston.
Beans.
You can go ahead and move through, Sergeant Adams. All right, very good. You can go ahead and return. All right, and now we're going to break that down, that demonstration down, into each step. So the first thing that I'm doing is I'm going to detect all personnel entering the area. Sergeant Adams is entering the area. I don't recognize him because of a particular reason. And so as he's approaching, I've now detected that he's in. You can go ahead and start moving up. I'm covering him with my weapon, and I'm going to tell him to halt without disclosing my position. So without standing up, swinging my arms, or approaching him, I'm in cover, and I'm covering him with my weapon, and I've ordered him to halt. The next thing I'm going to do is ask who's there, just loud enough for him to hear, to not give away my position. So I'm going to ask, who's there?
Sergeant Adams.
He's positively identified himself. So then I'm going to tell him to advance to be recognized, to where I can get a better look at him. I'm going to stop him when he gets 2 to 3 meters within my location. So now I'm going to tell him to halt. And at this point, now that he's close enough that I'm not going to be giving up my password to the entire AO, now I'll give the challenge of Boston. He gave the correct response, so now he's going to be allowed to come through. If not, then I would hold here. If he gave the wrong password or he is not Sergeant Adams, then I would hold. I'd tell him, disarm yourself. Wait for him to drop his weapon. Notify my chain of command, 7, this is 9, I have an unidentified personnel at this location, and wait for the chain of command to give me further instructions. All right, you can go ahead and pick up your weapon. So now I'll give you some time to practice. I'll give you like 1 or 2 minutes to get a good feel of it yourself, okay? So we'll switch positions. I'll be carrying my clipboard instead of my rifle so that we can walk through these and I can answer any of your questions, okay? Here.
Halt. Who's there?
Sergeant Calhoun.
Move forward.
So, advance to be recognized. You good?
Roger that, Sergeant.
And then I'm within 1 to 2 meters, right? So then you have to tell me to do what?
Halt.
Halt, right. So I'm now within 1 to 2 meters. You tell me to halt. Now what do you want to know?
I want to say the phrase and you have the password.
Correct. Okay, so go ahead.
Boston.
And then I would say back, you're listening for what word?
Beans.
Right, that's the one we've talked about, right?
Roger that,
So if I said marathon, then what would you do?
Tell you to disarm.
Okay.
And step away from your rifle.
Okay.
I'd notify chain of command and let them know there's unidentified personnel in the area.
Okay, very good. So let's run through that a few more times until we get it at full speed, okay?
Roger that. Halt. Who's there?
Sergeant Calhoun.
Advance to be recognized. Halt. Boston.
Marathon.
Set your weapon on the ground. Step away from it. Chain of command. We have an unidentified personnel in the area. And I'd wait for a response from
Okay.
there.
All right, let's give it one more time. So this time, we'll say I'm the group leader, okay? I know we don't have other personnel here today, but we'll mime it.
Halt. Who's there?
Friendly patrol.
Leader, move forward. Advance to be recognized.
Advance to be recognized, good.
Halt. Boston.
Beans.
Can you positively identify everyone in your squad?
Yes, I can.
All right, move forward.
Okay, so I'm just gonna move to you, and here's where I'm gonna sit. I'm gonna have the rest of my guys come, you're gonna have me have the rest of my guys come through individually past your flank, and I'm gonna identify them with you. So if one's coming through, I'm gonna say, yes, I know that guy. I know that guy. That's my guy. And then if I said, I don't know that guy, we're going to do the same thing to this guy that we did earlier, to the guy who said Boston Marathon. So you're going to hold on him, same principles. You're going to hold on him, you're going to tell him to drop his weapon, and you're going to wait further instruction after you've notified your chain of command. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, do you have any questions?
Not this time, Sergeant.
Okay, if it helps, go over the board before we test you out, okay?
Okay. I'm ready, Sergeant.
You got enough time? Okay, very good. So this time, I'll leave my rifle here so that I can grade your performance. For this, since we have one person, I'll be approaching as an individual. I do not have a group with me, okay?
Roger.
All right, stand by.
Halt. Who's there?
Sergeant Calhoun.
Advance to be recognized. Halt. Boston.
Marathon.
Disarm your weapon.
Okay.
Step away from it. Chain of command. It's me. We have an unidentified personnel in the area. I wait for a response.
Okay. All right, so I already have your grade sheet. Sergeant Adams, at this time, I have you as a go, and you are considered T, which is trained. So if he didn't pass, then what he would be doing is we'd have at 1500 on November 4th, which is tomorrow, here at Peden Field, in the same uniform you're in right now, which would be Fields, helmet, eye pro, gloves, Rhodesian, rubber duck, and a water source, which you have on your back. That would be the time for the retest and retrain and retest. So now we're going to go ahead and gather personnel and account. So all the gear that I just mentioned, do you have it all right now?
Roger, Sergeant.
Okay. I have my whiteboard. I have my rifle. I have my water source. My grade sheets. Okay. So now we're going to go over an AAR. So today, the purpose was to go over challenging persons entering your area. I was to instruct, demonstrate, allow you practice time, and then evaluate your performance. So what actually happened, Sergeant Adams?
I learned how to challenge somebody approaching my area of operation, Sergeant.
Okay. Was the instruction good enough?
That was good, Sergeant.
Did the demonstration help?
That helped.
Okay. Did you have adequate practice time?
I did.
Okay. And then are you satisfactory with your evaluation?
I am, Sergeant.
Okay. Do you have any improves for me?
Improves. Maybe an area with less bugs, or maybe if we could have more people to train with, Sergeant.
More people? Okay. So if we had more people, then maybe we could make some of those challenging groups entering your area. Maybe that would be a little easier. Do you have any sustains that stuck out to you?
Sustains, I like the whiteboard that I can keep referring to.
Okay.
And I like the nice shaded area we decided to train in.
Okay. Anything else?
That's all I have, Sergeant.
Okay. So today, just to reiterate the purpose, we were to go over challenging persons entering your area. I was to instruct, demonstrate, allow practice time, and then evaluate your performance. So some of the hazards that we have that we mitigated, like we talked about earlier, Sergeant Adams, there's fire ants, as you can see, that are kind of over here. There's maybe potentially poison ivy, poison oak that we've avoided. The ground's a little bit uneven, but we weren't running anywhere. And the heat's not too bad, but we both have water sources, and we're in a field uniform where we have sleeves rolled up. So I believe all the hazards were mitigated. So let's go ahead and police call up the area. So go ahead and walk this area that you were working at earlier, and I will make sure this area is cleaned up. All right, Sergeant Adams. Like we were talking about earlier, I currently have you as T for trained. You were a go in every category. You did every performance step correctly. P would be if you were practiced, and we would continue to train a little bit more. U would be you were untrained. You would be receiving a no-go, and then you would be coming back to Peden Field tomorrow at 1500 as prescribed before. So things that could have gotten you a no-go would have been exposing yourself, which would be endangering yourself and also the unit that you're with, which is why this is important, because you're making sure that nobody's entering the area of friendlies. Does that make sense? Like I said, right now you're T for trained. Do you have any questions?
Not at this time, sir.
Okay, then that's all I have, and this concludes my brief.